Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Bill and Cammie are at a community event. Today, the Packers sent a formal request to the Stadium District to get involved with the Lambeau Field lease negotiations after the Packers say Mayor Eric Genrich refused to meet over an extension to the lease agreement that ends in 2032. The First Alert Update, Drew Best explains the events that led up to today's remarks. Drew.
Jason, a letter from the Green Bay Packers to the Stadium District says the organization was created to give voice to all the municipalities that have a stake in Lambeau Field. The Packers now asking the district to help continue lease negotiations, even with the mayor's, quote, unwillingness to engage with the Packers. The Packers suggest the city of Green Bay is trying to eliminate the organization to directly control Lambeau Field, a move the Packers say would be, quote, disenfranchising Brown County and all of its constituent municipalities other than the city of Green Bay, end quote. Packers Director of Public Affairs Aaron Popke says they first approached Mayor Eric Genrich regarding the lease negotiations back in 2020. Since then, the organization has put forward 3 lease proposals that are, quote, the best approach any city would want, which includes not asking the public to pay tax dollars for their stadium projects. Popke says Mayor Genrich failed to respond to the proposals or even offer a counter before walking away from negotiations in January. A statement from the city's chief of operation reads in part, quote, the city of Green Bay is not interested in a public debate with the Packers other than to say the Packers are grossly mischaracterizing our views and actions. As we have stated previously, our taxpayers deserve nothing less than what they're currently entitled to under the existing lease, which has 18 years remaining and absolutely not the $30 million loss the Packers proposed, end quote. Aaron Popke responding to the statement shortly after.
To presume that any existing arrangement in the lease would be included in a new lease is simply false. And we need to look at what is needed without public tax money to be able to support Lambeau Field well into the future.
The Packers say they are trying to move forward on over $1.5 billion worth of stadium projects without taxpayer funds over the next 20 to 30 years. Instead, the stalled negotiations have already led to the cancellation of an $80 million upgrade to the lower concourse this past offseason, as well as other renovations and developments. The Packers saying the long-term plan for Lambeau is now in limbo as their lease ends in 2032. Jason?